Hey, what's up, guys? Spencer here with Plant Powered Marketing. Today we have Joe Crisara with Service MP. Joe Crisara with Service MVP. How's it going, Joe?
I'm doing great, Spencer. Thank you for getting the name right finally, and on the second try. That's not bad. So good job
It's
on
a
that.
little bit of a tongue twister, right? Is that an
Uh,
Italian last name, Joe?
Crisara?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is Italian. There's only two kinds of contractors: Italians and those who wish they were, Spencer. So that's how I qualify in there. Make sense?
Yep. Joe, tell us what it is you do.
What I do is I bridge the value gap. So there's a certain amount of money that people need to make in the service business, and there's a gap between the amount of money they need to charge and the amount of ability they have to explain value at that price, right? So here's the price, here's how much value you got. So how can you bridge that gap so that the price you're charging seems like actually less money than the amount of words that you're using to make it sound like it's more valuable. Does that make sense? I teach communications for service contractors.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, I think a lot of people they have this value, whatever the price is that happens, they have to charge, and sometimes it's difficult to get there or sticker shock. It feels like sticker shock, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first person who's shocked is the guy who provides the service himself when he sees his own prices. He's like, I can't believe I have to charge this much. But
Yeah.
when you start taking into account all the expenses to run a business, the truth is, Spencer, I've never seen a contractor who charges too much. Actually,
Yeah. Right on. How long have you been in the business, or how long have you been doing the coaching thing? Give me a little bit of background about you.
Yeah, I started in 1977 as a service technician. My dad was a plumber. Going back to the day, he worked for Italians and Italian plumbing companies in Chicago. So you can imagine the connection between him and people like Tony Accardo.
Yeah.
Working with plumbing unions and things like that. So he was a union plumber, and he taught me how to do that. And in 1977, I got into the business, and I got a associate's degree in heating and air conditioning in 1979, and was a service technician for about 7 years. Started my own business in 1985, and then went on to drive that into the ground, and then I saved it by doing the things that I teach now. So one of the things gives me a passion is the fact that I really was going the wrong direction for about 7 years into the business. And then I listened to one of my customers who gave me some very wise advice, which is kind of the core information of what I teach right now today, which is to give people premium mid-range economy prices every time you give them a price, and also make that top option personalized and customized, and then how to bring it to a conclusion. And once I applied the science of communication in that way, within 2 years, I was debt free, and then we ran a double-digit 20% net profit plus company for the last 7 years in business, 8 years in business I was in. So I am a testimony for myself.
Man, like everybody loves a underdog story, or a comeback, I guess I should say.
Well, I would not have the confidence or depth of information. My bench is pretty deep because I have failed in almost every way you can fail, Spencer. So, so I can smell when somebody else is about to do it a mile away, and I'm like, hey, here's two outcomes. You keep doing what you're doing here. Here's the one outcome because I went through that outcome, and here's another outcome if you try it this way. And so my superpower is knowing what to do that's wrong, and replacing that with a way that works, and doing it within 7 minutes. I promise I can solve any problem you have within 7 minutes, or I give you $100 bill. I always tell people, and I have never given out $100 bill yet, because
Dang.
once you know the problem and then you know the solution, it's pretty easy to find it again over and over again.
That's amazing, and no better person to take advice from than somebody who's been there, right? Because I think a lot of people that are out there doing maybe similar things like yourself, they know how to maybe coach on particular situations, but have they ever been in those shoes to go, you know what, dude, I've been here before. I know how to get you out. So that's amazing, Joe.
Well, it's like you, Spencer. You do marketing and, the different marketing funnels you create. And if you didn't throw a crap load of money at marketing that didn't work, you wouldn't know how to find the way that does. And even with your campaigns, I know that you start out with somebody and it's like, oh, let's see how this works. And then let's modify. Oh, we found the fat part of the bat. And it's the same thing that I do when it comes to in-house or in-home sales or, person-to-person sales is but thing that we have in common is that we both don't quit when we hit a barrier. We just keep fighting through it. And, while you're spending those days in the forest, walking around the forest, you're
Yeah.
able to kind of think about solutions that may work that are not working right now, and it's a challenge. You don't get frustrated. You just keep working for it. Make sense?
Yeah. Just keep pushing forward. Cause obviously
Yeah.
if I would have quit, I would have quit a long time ago. I mean, when I was a youngster. So,
Yeah.
so where are you located, Joe?
Well, I live in, well, I'm a world citizen, of course, but I'm an American, so I live in the whole United States of America. But I live actually in, I almost say it hesitantly, in Los Angeles, California. but I will qualify for the first 45 years of my life. I grew up in the northern suburbs of Illinois, near the Wisconsin border in rural Illinois, northern Illinois, right next to Wisconsin. So I grew up in the Chicago area for 45 years. But truthfully, I have probably 70% of my clients are from the East Coast. And we do have quite a few people in the West Coast too, but we have, really a whole national brand that serves everybody,
So who's the ideal client that you're looking for?
Really, if you ever go on Facebook or see some of the stuff I do, I just find somebody who needs help, right? Because I've taken many small people who are one or two man companies and turned them into companies that are, 20, $25 million companies within 5 years. So I'm a turnaround specialist. I find things that aren't working, replace them with things that do. And I call them small bigs. You take something really small that seems like, man, that wasn't a lot of effort. And you do that effort and all of a sudden the result is bigger. And it's like that light bulb, like, oh my God, this is really working. And that's really why I have my reputation, because we have zero customers that have ever complained that the stuff that I teach doesn't work, because it's a science of communication. And so it works every time as long as people use the material. And if it does, it will usually, the average person from the very first training increases their revenue and sales by 278% in average. And then when people really take it down the line, it's about 5 times the amount of revenue and profit with the same exact amount of customers, or even less customers. You would do better because you wind up doing fewer calls, but selling more on each one, if that makes any sense.
No, that totally makes sense. So you're able to help people nationwide, it sounds like, right?
Oh yeah, we have. I do live training. People can come to an event we have. I also have online e-learning, which is really our future. We anticipate in 5 years that we'll have 1 million service providers on our Service MVP platform, where we would be the brand name, where we would onboard and orient every worker in the company, and that's what's coming in our future. So we feel like we have the best material, bar none, and it already has the best results, and we're acknowledged as the best. So I always let my clients do the speaking for me, though, Spencer. I can't. I'm terrible at bragging about myself. I'm just better at letting the clients do that.
I hear you. I hear you. So you guys own and operate Service MVP, but you guys also have a special summit that you guys put on too. Let's talk about the summit a little bit.
Yeah, we have our Total Immersion Summit, which is a 5-day event, but it also has 3 weeks of e-learning to prepare for that event. And then after the 5-day event is over, 5 8-hour days, then we do 4 weeks of personal coaching after to make sure we implement the material. So we're the only ones who provide training before, during, and after the event to make sure that it goes through. And we track everything too. We get the results that you had before, the results right after you leave the seminar, and for 4 weeks after, we track the results. That's where we get that data about the amount of money that people make with our program.
Now, I know why you're tracking it, but tell everybody else why you're tracking it.
Well, just make sure they feel like they got a return on their investment so they can keep investing.
And as well as is if you're not tracking something, you don't know it's broken, right?
Exactly. If you wouldn't know it's not working. Of course, we track it. We know it's going to work, but the thing is that we want to make sure that they know it was going to work. Because sometimes people sometimes when you make bold promises, Spencer, like even with your business, people have thrown away so many thousands of dollars on marketing that by the time you get to them and tell them that your stuff works, they're like, no way. No way is this going to work. And then sure enough, it works. They're like, it's like found gold. Like, I can't believe it. We got 15 calls today. Or I can't believe, for me, it's like, I can't believe it. He went on a call, he would have made 150 and he made 1,500. Or he would have normally gotten 6,000 for a new system of a new, our water heater would have been, 1,500 and he made 15,000 on that call because he offered water quality, 12-year warranty, service plan, automatic water shutoff valves, and things on the top option. So, the thing is this, we help people sell solutions that they used to be not offering because they thought it would offend customers. Well, in our case, we don't worry about offending customers. We just give them the best option at the top and let them choose the one they want. The premium mid-range economy, let them choose the one they want,
I'm always a firm believer of explaining to people what they need and letting people buy what they want, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like, the methods that we teach has the ring of truth because we can give every single thing we teach, Spencer. I can give you a real life assignment of a real life, example of something that we teach that's hidden in plain sight, I call it, where, that's why it works. That's why I always buy the premium when I go to the steakhouse, or that's why when I go to the gas station, I'm always locked into that particular type of gasoline or whatever it is.
Yep.
We kind of program ourselves as creatures of habit I call it like the lazy way, which is buy the way we always do, but everything's different, right? I may buy lunch in an economy way. I may buy dinner in a premium way. And so just even something like eating food, you wouldn't know which way people do it because they may do it on the weekends may be different than the weekdays. The different meal, the breakfast may be different than the dinner. And so because we never know how people are going to do things on any given day, you have to be ready to appeal to the premium, mid-range, and economy day. And then we do it. The good news is that 74% choose the middle, 15% choose the premium, 11% choose the bottom option. That's what we found.
Yeah. So are you strictly only able to help people in the HVAC business, or do you guys spread out to other niches?
No, actually, I have there's a landscaper in Delaware I helped. He was a guy who was doing about 300,000 when I met him. He's now doing $30 million in landscaping in Delaware. I have a coffee shop, a place called Stir Crazy in Rochester, Wisconsin, which is just the day I went in there that said, hope you enjoy your latte. I'm going to go out of business next week. I'm giving it up. I'm like, why are you giving it up? She goes, her name was Linda. I said, Linda, I like this place. And plus there's no coffee shops anywhere in the area. I'm like, it's the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, the next Starbucks is 25 miles away. And I'm like, I can tell you what's wrong with the place, Linda. She goes, what is it? What's wrong? Something's wrong here? I said, yeah, there's a lot wrong. There's a lot wrong here. If you're losing your ass, there's a lot wrong here, right? And so I said, first of all, you have no menu. The menu is not clear. Second of all, the way you serve people, you start, people walk in the door, you start getting their drink. Next thing you know, everybody's holding $5 in their hand. Nobody knows when they're supposed to pay. So just the system of operation was not matching up to the quality of the service. So she had a great product and great bakery and stuff she had going, but she didn't know how to display it so that people could see, here's the premium stuff we have, here's the mid-range, and here's the economy stuff. So you can see it clearly that this costs more than this. And the drinks, like she had this machine, the cappuccino machine, the big old one, like they have, the old school from Italy. And she hardly ever used it. She kept using the drip. I'm like, how come nobody offers a latte? She goes, I don't know. I hardly ever use that thing. I said, I can tell you why. Why? Because it's not up on the menu. You don't have a menu. So I actually made a menu for the woman. I said, let's make a menu this week and we'll try it and see what happens. Well, at the end of the week, she said, I just made more money in a week than I made in 6 months last year, just by changing that menu, right?
Menu up?
Yeah. Eventually,
Clear menu.
Eventually, she had coffee carts at Miller Park in the stadium the Brewers play in.
Yeah.
because she became so successful with the thing. And all it was is she didn't know how to display the prices. The prices they were just randomly all over the board. They weren't like, here's the premium drinks, here's the mid-range, and here's the drip coffee at the bottom. Uh, Consumers, we don't think that makes sense, but when you walk into a coffee shop, you're like, what do they got here?
Yeah.
And you
What
look
the
at the
fuck?
menu and you look at it, you're like, oh, I get it. There's the premium stuff. Yeah, give me a latte. Give me the $7 latte or whatever,
Yeah.
It's like, she's thinking that's going to offend people if they see it's cost seven. So she didn't put the latte up there because she knew if she had to charge like $6 that people would, she's like, oh, they're going to get mad at me if they see I charge $6 around here.
I
I'm
guess
like,
I
dude,
guess she's never been
I'm
to
like, there's
a
nobody's
coffee shop.
got this kind of drink. I said, the only person within 25 miles, they'll pay $10 for the damn thing if you put it up there that way. So I
Yeah.
created a menu for her. We displayed a menu from went to Kinko's, right, and made a menu for her, and lights out. After that, it's all she had to do is get the prices. And I also told her one more thing. She was doing a mistake where she didn't know how to handle the money. So people would walk in and she'd start making orders, but meanwhile nobody paid. And so so many people ordered stuff, and they'd walk out because, like, I don't know when I'm supposed to pay, so they were just confused. So
Yeah.
I said, hey, I made 3 signs, Spencer. I said, we're going to make a menu so people know how much it costs. And then we're going to have a sign that says order here with arrow pointing down. And then a sign says pick up over here.
Yeah.
And those 3 signs made her more money in a week than she made in 6 months, she said. And then she ordered more bakery stuff. She said, I can't even keep up with the demand because everybody's just buying it. She says, it's like the word got viral that Linda got functional. That here's the thing. So I told her, I said, when the people come in, they order their drink and food, you get their money and then put it in the register and then make that food and drink and then go on to the next customer. So that's your factory. So she was just letting everybody just throw orders at her, and she'd forget half the orders and stuff like that.
Oh
So
my goodness.
she'd wind up with all this activity, Spencer, and not making any, like, she'd wind up $15 out of serving like 15 people, about $1. Her average transaction was about $1 a person coming in when I first met her. And then it turned into be about $20 when she had the menu set up and all the things displayed the right way. Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy, man. If you
20
could,
20 times more average transaction, 20 times more, because it was displayed and it was easy to get. It wasn't hard to do it,
if you could give just touch on one thing, what is it you find most businesses struggle with?
I just think the biggest thing is that they don't realize they try to let the market dictate the value of the service, right? They're afraid to disrupt the market, and they try to fit into their competition like a pillow, because it feels comfortable to be like everybody else. And we even go to the same dealer meetings or contractor group meetings or best practice meetings, and we all try to be alike. My feeling is that when somebody's doing something a certain way, do it different, and then be bold and do something different, and then you'll succeed. But when you're trying to you're trying to fit in with everybody else, most likely you're going to fail, because everybody else, only 5% of contractors, Spencer, really succeed like they should. Blue collar professionals, they're trying to find a comfort zone by using the market to dictate their prices. And like, I met a guy whose name is Rick Picard. I first met him. He's like, he sold furnaces, right? And I said, Rick, I'll tell you right now, your prices are too low. And he goes, my prices are too low. I'm charging $2,500. My competition's $1,800. I said, that's the problem. You're only $700 different. You need to be like 20,000 different. You need to be so that when somebody sees your price, they're like, oh my God, nobody's offering a price for 20,000. And they got to say, what do I get for 20,000? So that makes people actually look at your offer now, where all the offers seem the same. You just throw them on the kitchen table and don't look at them. So the biggest weakness of any business is trying to be like another business, as opposed to having the courage and the bravery to forge a new marketplace like Starbucks did with coffee, or like, there's many businesses who take a normal service and just kind of take that and set it on its ear. And all of a sudden they're like Zappos with shoes or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You would think there's no room for any other business. And I reject the thing like Amazon's eating up all the oxygen. I think there's plenty of opportunity to be better than Amazon and more personal than Amazon is. You know what I'm saying?
Very true. Yep, I hear you. How's COVID affected your business lately?
Well, actually, it's helped us. We're just very fortunate. Thank God that the all of our clients are considered essential. And our clients are also very fortunate that they are essential too.
Yeah.
And so all the service businesses are definitely still needed, whether you're electrical or landscaping or whatever it is that you do that does the service. Probably the ones that I think are a real hit are like people who go in like house cleaning or things like that. I think that's a business that I'm sure that has taken a huge hit. Every one of our clients, Spencer, has had record growth this year.
Yeah.
Even though they have fewer employees, because the employees, there's no guarantee the same workforce will be present. And even though they have fewer customers, they're doing more with each customer. It's really a different, interesting phenomenon.
Yeah, it's so talking with an HVAC here in the Portland, Oregon area that's local to me. She was telling me how they've had 2 record-breaking months in sales. They had to lay off majority of their employees with the COVID thing, but amazingly, they've all rehired basically everybody back that they wanted back, which is a huge story. I was like, her and I were in tears when she was telling me about it. So it's definitely been a blessing for some niches out there, and obviously it sounds like you're in a good niche with the HVAC.
Well, we do all kinds of service businesses, obviously, but the thing is, I think the difference, though, Spencer, some companies have learned to innovate and pivot immediately. They immediately saw this as an opportunity, because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to just fold the tent and go home. And those people who forged ahead, they dominate the marketplace now. They probably already were semi-dominating before, but now they are truly dominant and taking over the entire marketplace. And I think a lot of people had a missed opportunity here that even if they didn't do the exact same service they did, they could do something different. Like restaurants. Some restaurants where Jesus close the doors and go home, as opposed to other people. It's like, hey, let's make a patio out of the parking lot.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens out there, right? And they were innovative enough to say, there's a bar right not too far from us, and it's like, man, it's too bad that place closed down. And that's also know they got a whole patio and structure out there in the back of the parking lot, and also it's of course plenty of people back there, and they have here's the thing about it. Even though there's probably less overall customer flow or traffic, I think that people are like, once I get out or once I make a purchase, I'm going to do it right this time, because I can't afford to have some lame person come back. I think the Craigslist guy is suffering big time, because you're not going to be inviting that kind of person into your house who's uninsured or that kind of thing. So I think legitimate brick and mortar contractors are really succeeding, because they're known as a legitimate business that you can walk into if you needed to. And they trust is an important factor at this time, more than ever, I'd say.
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy, even for us on marketing end of things. The clients that have been able to just double down and actually afford to market, we're taking over market share, and they're having great results, and they're going, God, I'm glad I did this, because they would be getting eaten up by their competition if they hadn't pursued, pushed forward and persevered. So had a crazy time. So let's chat a little bit about Joe and who Joe is, because I think people would love to know who Joe is. I'm curious, where'd Uncle Joe come from? Where'd the nickname Uncle Joe come from?
Well, I think there's a lot of I'll put it this way: when I work with somebody, I'm 100% invested. I mean, from the day I meet somebody, I give you my cell phone number and I say, text me your number right now before we go any further to make sure you got my contact. I'm not shy with that. And I follow through too. I always like, hey, how did it go with that one? And, the biggest thing is this, just like that uncle who, when you bring your bike in, he doesn't act like it's insurmountable. He says, all right, let's go ahead, Spencer. Let's go ahead and take the wheel off. And just starts telling you what we need to do. Right. Yeah. So in a way, I kind of fix broken sales, and maybe like your uncle would fix your broken bike, And so, I don't know. I think some of the people just tagged it on me, and I just took the ball and ran with it. You know what I'm saying? That's all it was.
Somewhat of an Italian thing too.
It could be. I don't know. It is. I will tell you, the business is the contracting world, the service contracting world is a very paternal world where the fathers were like, my dad was a service person, and
Hmm.
I am, and my son probably will be. So it seems like, and then, who'd have thought the service industry overall would just grow like it has over the past 20, 30 years. It's, back in when I was younger, there was no service plumbing company. They used to have new construction companies that would do service as an afterthought. Now it's the opposite way around. There's way more service companies than there are construction companies and things like that.
True, true. What are some of your hobbies?
Me? Well, I love music, and I used to play. I don't know if you know, but is this my time where I tell you my secret skill or something like that?
Sure, man. You can tell me your secret skill.
Yeah, I'm a bass player. I used to play bass in a band, and I did. I played from 1977 when I became an HVAC and plumbing service guy.
Yeah.
I'd go out and play in the evenings. Ever since I was 15 years old, I played keyboards and guitar and things like that. And my first band I was in was a Eagles, band, a tribute band, right? And then and then I had my own band called Struggling Joe and the Artists. And then eventually I wound on from about 1986 to about 1992. We've calculated that we played about 600 weddings, and I bought my first house with the money I made from a wedding band, playing in a 3-piece band, and we played like 3 or 4. We had an agent who would book the hell out of us, and so we did about 600 weddings in that span of time, from 85, 86 to about 1992, where I kind of gave it up at that point. So.
That's cool, man. Is that how you got out to Los Angeles from Illinois? Was trying to make?
No, I couldn't move out here till I had enough money.
I thought you moved to LA to find stardom, man.
Nah, not at all. I was already past that. I gave up music by the time I moved out here. I just moved out here for the weather.
Oh,
the swimming
gotcha.
pool. I was doing when I did consulting in 2000, and so it's 2001. I sold my business, and I started doing consulting to sell the systems that we had used.
Yeah.
By 2004, I was on the road 38 weeks out of 52. And then I got married to my wife in 1997, and she's like, well, it was really a good year. We had to make some good money and things on the consulting. She goes, but if you do it again next year, you'll have a future ex-wife for next year. And she said, so you got to decide what you want to do, because I can't take 38 weeks when you're on the road. And I'm like, yeah, I can't either. And so basically that's where we created contractorselling.com, which is now turning into Service MVP, which is an online. One of my friends, David Fry, who is a marketing genius from Houston, Texas, he wrote the Marketing Bible. Just a great guy. He told me, he goes, every time you talk to somebody, record it, and then take that file and put it online, and you got yourself a membership site. I'm like, what? I'm like, sure enough. And then he had this thing called, there's a membership website service we purchased. And within the first 2 months, we had 100 members paying us $89 a month at the time. And that was how we got going on the thing, right? And then from that point on, we have over 6,000 people who use our services right now. So it's really grown huge at this point.
That's amazing.
And we hope it'll be 1 million 5 years from now. So we're trying to, with help like people like you, Spencer. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
Push our service so we can help your clients. You know what I'm saying?
So do you currently still play a little bit?
No, I haven't touched the guitar in a long time. I do have my amplifier though. We're just thinking about selling it.
Oh man, you should pass this down to your son, man. You should get him going. Does he?
Well, he does. Yeah, I do teach him how to play guitar. So yeah, we do. I have my 11-year-old son, and when I was 50 years old, I realized I was going to have a baby, and so I hit the reset button. I have a 31-year-old son, a 32-year-old son, and an 11-year-old son. From 2 different women, thank God, right? Because I'd wear that woman out if I had.
Yeah, right. She'd be like, "What the heck did you do to me?"
But I have two different wives, and was fortunate to have 2 older boy and a younger one, and definitely a much better father with the second one than I was with the first one, because I just learned just my refinement was better than it was then. So, but I mean. I actually I do teach my son, so I can't say I don't play. I just play enough to show him. But the funny thing is, it's like riding a bike. Once you learn how to do it, it's pretty much muscle memory, and you got it down. But The only thing that hurts is my fingers from the not having the calluses on the strings and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
if you ever play guitar, you play anything or no instruments?
I tried picking it up. I had a buddy of mine that was teaching me, and he wanted me to learn every chord and chord sequence before he'd actually teach me a song, which got super frustrating for me. Like I'm the type of person, like if I knew that if I have 3 chords down, teach me songs with those 3 chords so I can just sit there and enjoy it.
Yeah.
It just became a job to me, and I kind of just got frustrated and irritated.
Well, I never played bass guitar until, like, I played piano and I played, normal guitar, like an acoustic guitar. But I had a buddy when I was working in retail, and he had a band, and they needed a bass player in 1977. That's the Eagle band, right? They're all Eagles.
Yeah.
So his name called Ventura. And I said, I'm like, I wish I had a bass player. It's like, you need a bass player? He's like, I said, I could do that. And he's like, yeah. Oh yeah. I play bass all the time. I acted like I did it, kind of thing. Cause I figured it's only 4 strings. I mean, if I could do 6 strings, then what the hell? That's and then at the time I never even listened to the bass parts until I had to play them. And he's like, and thank God it was a pretty easy band, because all they had was Already Gone and the 3-chord Eagle songs back in the old days. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I got this. And I'm like, just listen to it. And sure enough, I faked it like I was playing forever. And like, yeah, this kid's pretty good, And I could sing the harmonies too. So they liked that. So that was like, oh yeah, this guy's in for sure.
Faked it until you made it, huh?
That was it. I was like, thank God the songs were easy and not something else. Eventually I was recruited in 1979, 1979, I was recruited by a band that did all like Earth, Wind and Fire. They did so I had a guy named Maurice who said, hey, could you join our band? And I'm like, I don't play that kind of bass. I play like Eagles bass, not, Earth, Wind and Fire bass with the thumb, Yeah, that. He's like, I'll teach you, dude. We have to have you in the band. Why? He goes, well, because they're trying to play the Hoffman houses and Holiday Inns in the Midwest and Minnesota to Iowa and things like that. Mm-hmm. He said that we need a token white guy because if you're just they would not let an all African American band play in one of those places unless they had one white guy. And I was the token white guy. Isn't that crazy?
That is, dude, some different times, that's for sure.
That was back in the 70s. That's not good. But it was like, I was like, yeah, I'll so I was, and the cool part is I picked it up, he drilled me, and Maurice, still really good friends. Yeah. They live in Minnesota right now. And every time I go back there to Minnesota, I visit them. And one guy named Tyran Harris and Maurice. So just good people. So they really enriched me for that, because otherwise I wouldn't have had a clue. But he took me under his wing,
Right on, man. What's one piece of advice you'd give a new business owner?
One piece of advice is, I would say, design your business so that you have one of the things that's frustrating is a unique selling proposition to have. But I think that's true. I think that until you have something that makes you unique and stand out from everybody else, it's hard to market if you don't have that. It's hard to sell if you don't have that. Everything works when you know that we're going to take a position in the marketplace that nobody else is taking. So my advice would be, find something people hate to do, and then put a heart on it and say you love that. because that's the thing that will, here's the ductless mini split, the ductless air conditioning units. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are like, yeah, those are pretty cool, but it's just ductless mini. I said, no, you need to embrace that and own that market. You can't just say I'm going to dabble in it. You got to say we're going to take a normal unit and put the ductless mini split in an entire house and something like that. For me, back in the day, we did a thing with oil furnaces where everybody hated oil furnaces, but we said we love oil furnaces. We're oil specialists, right? So all that kind of thing. And there was a day, believe it, in the old days where people used to hate digging up a sewer line, but we found it to be super profitable. We said, we would do sewer excavation. If you have a fracture in your line, just call us for a second opinion. We'd go out there and show them premium, mid-range economy options. The premium one with new toilets and fixtures, nobody else was doing that. They were just doing the pipe. And we were offering the toilets, fixtures, and faucets and everything with the sewer line. And people are like, wow, nobody's doing that. Yeah, those are music to my ears when somebody says, wow, nobody's doing that. And, for you too, Spencer, right? It's got to be music to ears. Like nobody has a personal service like yours that, people try to feed you into this machine and pay-per-click and things like that. Everybody's doing that, but nobody's doing what you're trying to do. And the same thing is true with me. I don't have a lot. There's really no other people do exactly what we do with the personalization, the customization that we do it, So I can tell you about 7 or 8 unique things that we do that nobody can copy because it's ours. And once you own that space, everybody's like, why even try? Joe Crisara, he's already got that sewn up,
Uncle
And
Joe's got locked down.
Even if they want to do it, they'd be like, you have to come to me and ask me if it's okay or whatever. I'd be like, sure, it's okay with me.
Try to do it.
Yeah. If you want to take 24 years and beat your head against the wall and try and figure it out, go ahead.
Go ahead, right?
It was expensive in the beginning. It was not easy, and a lot of the scars. The people who benefit from my service, they benefit from those scars that I had where things didn't work out as good as they were when I first started out.
Yeah, man, and the struggles they don't have to go through because you've gone through them yourself. So
that's it. That's my main job, is to avoid. I suffered for it, so you don't have to. Right? That's it.
Yeah, man. A lot of my insurance career, I always told people I was a professional firefighter, and they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, I put out fires all day. That's all I do, right? Just put the fires out. So,
I can't believe you were in insurance. That's the part that stuns me about this whole interview.
I actually still own an insurance agency.
Oh my God!
I would never.
If you'd asked me some random thing about you, I definitely would not have been on the register at all. It's like you're the opposite of an insurance guy.
I've owned a farmer's agency now for 9 years up here in the Portland, Oregon area.
Wow, pretty cool.
Yeah, man, it's one of those things. It's kind of crazy. I was thinking about this here a few weeks ago. I actually did a Facebook Live about it, and so my first career was I'm actually a professional trained chef. I did that for about 15 years, and the one thing I always thought about was, God, what is it that I really what makes me tick about that piece of thing of my career? And it was always about the satisfaction of the diner, right? I wanted to make that person enjoy their meal.
Yeah.
Fast forward to my insurance career. Truly, like, insurance is boring, right? I even personally find it pretty freaking boring, Joe. But at the end of the day, I'm the guy that I get a lot of satisfaction from explaining to a person, because a lot of people come to my insurance agency and they have no clue what they're buying.
Yeah.
So for me, I like to educate them, say, hey, this is what this means. This is why you're paying this much. And you know what? This is probably not the best limits that you should have. You probably should have something bigger, or, higher limits. So the satisfaction of taking care of that person. Then fast forward to the marketing piece of things. I found out when actually Brian, that you introduced me to, when they started getting leads, and he just was just glowing. He was just so happy, and he's referring people to me. And it's this satisfaction that basically I found in all 3 of my careers, or whatever you want to look at it like, is this piece of just making people happy, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think that is why I'm here on this planet, is to help people, help make them happy in whatever way. So kind of interesting. I found that.
Yeah, when I first met you, I kind of thought you were a brother from another mother, because you can tell the heart of service kind of shows up when people are trying to help people without worrying about the money part of it. I would look at it this way. I would try to say, let me help you first. I can tell you this, Spencer. My motto is that you as a client will never feel like I owe you something, but you're going to feel a lot of times like you owe me more. I'd rather have you feel as a client that you got more value, and that I probably got away kind of cheap on this. When they first hear the price, they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe the guy charges that much." But after a couple of weeks, they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it's that little." Actually, that's what it is. It's a risk, right? When they make that initial investment, and no matter what the price is, it seems like it's too much until it works, and then it's never. Then they want more of it, and it's never enough at that point. So once you find the key to the door, it's open. Yeah, that's really, I would say that.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm curious, if you were on death row, Joe, what would be your last meal? You get me? It's like we're having a little bit of.
If I had to choose something, I would say I would get a gigantic ribeye that's about an inch and a half thick, and then I would say give me a lobster with it, and cook both of them in a lot of butter since it's my last meal.
Heck, on those arteries, right?
And then get potatoes, and it's drawn butter on everything. Give me a picture of drawn butter. I'm just going to douse it on the steak and on that lobster, and then I'm going to put it on the potatoes and plenty of cheese. I'm putting on that kind of thing, and then I will die a very high carb man at that.
High cholesterol, high fat, everything, right? What about dessert, man? Any dessert to finish off that last meal, or?
Well, I do enjoy a tiramisu, if you know what that is, Italian
Lady
cake with amaretto,
yeah.
soaked in amaretto. And I prefer, if you ever go to, in Boston, the best is Mike's Pastry in Boston on the North End. If you've been out that way, it'll say, oh my God. If you go to Boston, go to Mike's. That's all I can tell you. If you love desserts, because you'll be like, you go in there like, oh, see what they got, the tiramisu. And you're like, oh my God, give me like 10 bucks of everything else too. Just remember, you're a tourist though. You won't have anywhere to put it. So
right, can't take it on the flight.
But it's the kind of place where if you just buy it and take a bite, you're like, oh, it's got that old school, like your mom made it. It's hard to explain until you did it. Well, not your mom, but
your mom probably.
Somebody's mom. Yeah, my mom was Italian, so she definitely, she was a great cook, and she passed. Both my parents just recently last year passed away, and my dad passed away in February before the pandemic, and my mom the year before February. But definitely, I honor their memory by eating good. Like they always wanted me to,
Sorry to hear that, man. But yeah, the Italian family is like you're doing an honor by eating well, and that
right, that they would demand that for sure.
They would require that, right? And it's the meatball recipes. They pass any recipes down to you that you guys currently still cook?
Yeah, we do a lasagna. My mom would give me a lasagna. I also make a homemade pizza every Friday. It's pizza night. Uncle Joe's homemade pizza. I make it every Friday night on my own, and I'm a little bit of a chef. I like to make things, make the food. Most of the time I try to eat like, chicken breast and broccoli and stuff like that. But every Friday I do the homemade pizza for my son and I and my wife. We have movie night and things like that. So it's kind of things we enjoy.
You do it on like a pizza stone, or you guys have
I do. I have both a rectangular and a round stone. And so I do both. I usually use a rectangular one for the most part, and then make a big long pizza. It's probably about 24, probably about the same width as an oven, almost right to the edge of the oven. So I'm not sure how big that is, but pretty big.
You prefer like the New York style, the thin crust?
No. I like thin crust. Crust, which is not New York. New Yorkers don't own the thin crust. Okay. Because the Chicago thin crust pizza is way better than the New York floppy pizza. You fold it, forget that crap. It's got to have a crispy, cut it in squares. That's the Chicago way. The Chicago tavern pizza, you got to get thin crust, cut in squares, sausage, pepperoni, green peppers, onion, and I like to have spinach on it too. So spinach, mushroom, onions, green peppers, and mushroom. I like to load it up and then get it well done so it's crispy.
I spent only 3 days back in Chicago on a business trip here probably 6 years ago. And I was downtown, stayed downtown, checked out a place down there. I think it's called, I want to say like Pisano's, I think. And had a deep dish down there. Never had a deep dish. Personal pan.
It could have been Pizzeria Uno or Gino's, either one of those two.
Maybe.
Lumonati is another one down there, so some good ones.
Yep. And then I ate at that famous diner actually the next morning off the L. I rode the L train just up a few stops. There's a famous diner downtown there that's
Al's Diner or Ed DeBevick's.
Something like that, man. I got pictures on my camera roll.
Yeah, it's like a 1950s diner kind of a thing.
Yeah, 50s style diner, and they're famous for their breakfast, and
that's Ed DeBevick's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Good place. You're making me sick for home. Yeah, we have we do have in California here Portillo's, which is an Italian joint that they have they have a thing in Chicago called Italian beef, which is just awesome. Yeah, it's like a French dip on steroids. It's really good.
Yeah, you get that in Cali.
You can get it here. We have one 26 miles from here. Exactly. I know exactly where it's at, right?
You can drive
exact mileage, 26 miles. Let's go. The good news about the pandemic, there's no traffic, and I get there about a half an hour. Where before it would take me an hour and a half to get there, but now it's since the traffic is light, that's good for us.
Yeah. Is it still pretty light down there, Joe?
It is very light. The daytime it's a little bit pretty normal, but as soon as the evenings come, about 5 o'clock, everything just filters out around here.
Are you out?
There's no nightlife.
Are you out towards the valley?
No, I'm just south of Hollywood and just east of Beverly Hills, in a place called Hancock Park, which is I'm within the shadow of a place called the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, which is where the La Brea tar pits are at, and the place called the Farmers Market here, which is has more visitors than Disneyland coming to the place, because
Wow.
it's one of the oldest places where it's like Pike Market up there in Seattle, very similar to that, but it's for Los Angeles in the middle, right here, and south of Hollywood, and the Cantor's Deli, which is a famous deli, is just a little bit north of that area. So I'm in that part of LA, so it's a pretty cool area. It's a lot of it's a diverse community, many different subsets of Asian. There's a little thing called Little Ethiopia. There's Tehrangelis, which is Iranian. I don't know if you know, but most of Beverly Hills is Persian people. Did you realize that? I mean, until I moved here, I didn't realize that the Persian people took over Los Angeles, or Beverly Hills, I meant.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have guessed that, but I would.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me would guess it because it seems like the Persians are pretty wealthy.
When the 1970 oil, when they had the thing where the 1979, where the Shah of Iran got deposed, then they all left with their money and came over here and bought property while it was still cheaper at the time, and now they're sitting on this property that's that's some oil money, and the government went from a private companies to publicly held once the Ayatollah came in. So then they just took the money they had and left, so they wouldn't get strung up on a cross or whatever. And then they came out here and then they bought properties. And like I was the coach of the Beverly Hills basketball team after my son, and we had 12 kids, and 10 of them were Persian kids, but they're really good people and good people, and good food too. I tell you, there's a lot of good Mediterranean food around here. So.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. I love myself some good food. So, hey, just to wrap things up, if somebody is interested in using your service, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, you can just go to servicemvp.com and you'll see really all of our stuff there. But you can go to, you'll see our Total Immersion, we call it Total Immersion Live Summit, which is a 3-day e-learning with a 5-day training and 4 weeks of personal coaching after. That's why a lot of people start with us. And then we also have coaching programs that continue that education at Service MVP, but we're doing a rebrand in October, so it'll all be Service MVP, and everything we do will be under that name. And we're looking forward to consolidating all of our services under one name to make it easy for people to identify us,
Yeah, it makes sense. Now the summit that's coming, when's the next summit scheduled?
We have one every month, pretty much. So we have one. We have a summit for service and salespeople every month, and then we also have a customer service and dispatch class. We did 4 of them this year, so we have 2 of them. One coming up in February, and we have 2 leadership classes, which are on performance coaching. We had one in the spring and one in the fall just now. But we do about 2 of those a year. And then we also do in-house stuff too for people to go out there and do training right in their facility and things like that. However, most of the stuff this fall, it's all going to be virtual. It's going to be Zoom, right, on the digital training. So everything will be digital right now. But we anticipate early 2021, February, hopefully we'll be able to have some kind of a vaccine and get back out there and do what we always do. I love going out there and meeting people. It's one of my favorite things to do.
I tell you, I miss the social aspect of things. So I'm right there along with you. So, well, it's great to have you on, Joe. And man, stay cool down there in Los Angeles, man. It's like I said, it's a scorcher up here in Portland right now. So we're
thank you so much for the opportunity, and thanks to all your viewers, the people on the elite service contractor. What's the name of the group again? So make sure I hit elite.
World's Elite Contractors.
World's Elite Contractor. I knew it was there, but thank you everybody from the World's Elite Contractors. Definitely, it's an honor to be in front of you, the hardest working people in our world, who are making all of our lives possible. And if anybody would say you are truly essential, I definitely feel that way. It's not just a label. When I look at it, it's actually the truth.
Yeah, right on, Joe. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, Spencer.